Welcome to Fading Memories, a supportive podcast for those of us dealing with a loved one with memory loss. So most of you know I have a grandmother that will be 100 in 3 weeks from today. This is March 7th, 2018. And a few years ago, my aunt was very tired of being her primary caregiver in relations to bringing her food. My aunt would bring leftovers, and she was just getting tired of that being her sole responsibility. So my dad suggested that my grandmother call Meals on Wheels and get them set up so she could have regular meals and give my aunt a break. Unfortunately, Grandma thought that Meals on Wheels was a charity, and she didn't qualify for a charity, and that was the end of that discussion. So I don't know a lot about Meals on Wheels, and I have a friend who does. So with me today is Nancy Ranieri. And what exactly is your title?
I am actually the program manager for the Meals on Wheels program.
Awesome. So can you explain the whole program to me the way somebody should have explained it to my grandmother?
Of course. So the Meals on Wheels program is home-delivered meals. In our area, it is one meal a day. It is run through the county. Most of the funding, 46% of our funding is federal funding. So each county operates their program a little bit differently. In Contra Costa County, as I said, it's one meal a day. It's a hot meal that's delivered at noon. It's 1/3 of the daily nutritional value for seniors. It is delivered fresh. It's made fresh every morning and delivered by volunteers. We do ask for a contribution. We send a contribution reminder out each month. It's a donation-based program, so we accept whatever that individual feels that they can afford or whatever family members can send to us. Anyone can refer an individual to our program, and we will contact that individual and get the details that we need to set up the delivery. So family members can do a referral. Individuals can call for themselves. We often get referrals from hospitals, discharge planners, rehab facilities, and adult protective services as well if somebody's really in need.
So I know a lot of times there's a waiting list. So why is there a waiting list?
There's a waiting list mostly because we have a limited number of people we can serve because we have to keep the meals at a safe temperature. So it's all about that safety factor. We do have an alternate program in our area where we deliver frozen meals one day a week if someone's on the waiting list, and we have the frozen meal delivery available so we can put people on, at least get the food. The thing that doesn't do is give them that social interaction every day that the home visit does. So our volunteers are trained as drivers to deliver the meal, make sure they're getting the correct diet, because we do have a choice of diet. And they also are trained to do a daily welfare check. So it's minimal, but it is someone that's touching base. So for somebody like you, if you can't be at Nana's every day to check in on her, that's where we come in. So we call the families if there's any change in their condition that we notice. They report anything to us. They visibly have any changes, and sometimes it'll be bruising. It'll be someone that's not feeling well. Maybe they've gone from being very clean and tidy looking to suddenly not being able to keep up with themselves. So we can alert the families even when they're not close by for situations like that change.
So that's fantastic. I didn't know that either. And I know that social interaction is very important for seniors, especially seniors who want to age in place, like my grandmother. What other aspects of the program should we be aware of?
Well, before the individuals can't get out any longer, we do have a social program where they come into the senior centers and have a meal for the cost of just a donation. Again, usually they ask about $2 if they can. It's called the CC Cafe, and they're available at most of the senior centers in Contra Costa County. They deliver this. It's the same meal that we provide, but it comes in bulk, so they plate it. So people have told me that it tastes better because it's on a plate, where ours is in a tray that has to be delivered. So some of our people actually will take it from the tray and put it on a plate, and then it tastes better to them. It feels more like that meal. But the Senior Center Cafe, if they can get there, they get all the social interaction where they're not eating alone. They have entertainment that comes in. They have different special days. So St. Patrick's Day is coming, and all the senior centers will have that. But our program cuts in where the people can no longer get out. Maybe they're no longer able to drive. They don't have transportation. So we still get that nutrition to them. And we do get that little bit of social interaction. The clients often connect with the drivers, and if a particular driver happens to be sick one day, we will get calls from our individuals saying, what happened to our Wednesday driver? Where is he? We haven't seen him for a while. So they do make that connection. Often our drivers honestly go out of their way and do a lot of extra things for the individuals. So you find that drivers will, probably really shouldn't, but they will take people to the doctor on their own time. Sometimes they'll make those kinds of connections.
That's awesome.
It's a really big support. We also have a couple of other programs. So we have a friendly visitor program at our organization where we match a volunteer with the senior that's homebound and isolated, and then the volunteer goes in once a week at least for an hour or 2 hours and visits. And they might play cards, they might read a book, they might do some gardening, take a walk if they're able. If they're so inclined and the volunteer's willing, they might go out for lunch or to the store, things like that. So it develops, again, that relationship. And we try and match with like interests. So if a senior used to be a gardener, we bring somebody in that, was interested in that. Language is also another thing. So if we have a German-speaking person, like we have a lot in Walnut Creek area, we'll try and match a German-speaking volunteer.
A lot of German-speaking people over the hill?
We have a large, yes, we do. And Russian as well.
Interesting. Would not have suspected that from that town.
Yes, we do.
Now, back to the senior centers.
Yes.
Do they do the CC Cafe 5 days a week?
5 days a week.
Wow.
Yeah. Monday through Friday. All the seniors have to do is call the day before and order the meal. They actually have a choice because they have more options. They can bring them a salad, they can bring them a hamburger if they don't want the fixed menu, and they can take that with if they want to.
Awesome.
Where our program's a little more limited because we're delivering. So
right.
For instance, we may not have soup on the menu because we can't deliver that very
easily.
We don't often get ice cream to deliver either, but.
No, ice cream wouldn't be good when it's 110 degrees.
Right. They do have a set menu. So
What about the frozen program? What's that basically about?
That's Nancy's husband, Tom. He's actually one of the drivers for Meals on Wheels and a fantastic guy.
The frozen program is on when someone's on the wait list, and if we can't do the hot daily delivery, we do 7 frozen meals. We also bring with that a loaf of bread, a half gallon of milk, and 7 servings of fruit. And we deliver that 1 day a week. So we take care of that if they're still able to do the microwave and, cognitively can take care of that. That's an option while they're waiting for the hot meal delivery.
Interesting. I did not know about that part. I had a sorority sister who was obviously much older. She was on Meals on Wheels and she loved it. And they get it 5 days a week. Trying to remember, I think it was her driver, did something that so she would also have meals a little bit on the weekend. And
right. We bring frozen meals for Saturday and Sunday, and we
that's
deliver
probably
those on
what it
Friday with the hot lunch.
Oh, okay.
And holidays as well. We bring a frozen meal. So we cover every day of the year if they need it.
Wow.
And the frozen meals are optional if some people don't, their families are home on the weekend or with them on the weekends and they don't need that. So we also provide an emergency food pack that we bring out to all of our new clients. That's 6 meals, shelf stable, and will last throughout the year, and we replace those once a year. So in case of a disaster, maybe something simple like if our kitchen burns down and we can't make the meals, we know they've got something to take care of them for a few days anyways.
And
it's not gourmet, but
And what's in those shelf-stable meals?
The emergency food bag contains 6 packets of protein, so either tuna or chicken or a combination. 6 mini cans of tomato juice, the V8 drink, a box of Triscuit crackers. There are 6 fruit servings in the form of fruit cup or applesauce, and 6 things of powdered milk mix, dairy milk.
Definitely. It sounds like something everybody should have in their pantries for an emergency.
Yeah, it even comes with silverware and napkin and mayonnaise, so you can mix that tuna up into a salad and put it on the cracker, and you're good to go.
I like Triscuits.
Yes, that's what most people like out of that is the Triscuits. But it gives them just that little security that they know if we can't get there for some reason. And things happen, occasionally we'll maybe be short a meal and we'll remind them that they have that emergency pack. So.
And how many meals do you guys serve?
We are currently delivering about 780 meals a day.
Whew, it's a lot.
On a regular basis. And often I'll tell the new volunteers you're not going to maybe necessarily see that disability or that inability to function. It might be something more of a mental capacity to not be able to put the meal in the oven or get it out of the oven or take it off the stove, and it's in a lot of cases it's a safety factor as well. People in the central part of the county waiting.
So we definitely need more drivers.
We need more drivers. We need more funding, more time in our day.
The stuff we all need: more money, more time.
Exactly. So out here, the meals are actually prepared in Antioch, so they really are fresh. Those folks are up really early. They start work at about 3 a.m. and get those meals out to us. And then the other areas of the county, they're brought out by truck to us for the volunteers to pick up.
Now, are they generally serving lunch or dinner or
It's
either
generally
or?
considered a lunch. A lot of the people, depending on what's on the menu, so if it's, say, beef stew, that might feel more like dinner. So they'll save that and microwave it. It can be microwaved in the tray that it comes in. It just needs to be slitted. But they're warm, they're hot, ready to eat when they're delivered. And occasionally we do a cold salad plate or a sandwich plate. And actually some of those are the favorites. People like that a lot. So
They're easy.
Yeah.
And then, so you've got drivers. I remember that the driver spent time with my sorority sister friend. Mm-hmm. Is that why they only deliver about 16 meals?
That's part of it, and part of it is that timing so the meals stay at the proper temperature so that they're safe.
Yeah, they measure with the thermometer
Yes,
each
we
meal.
check.
Yeah.
They keep track of them.
Temperature, yeah. And they expect that the people receiving the meal are home because they are supposed to be homebound after all. So, but it's a good connection.
So the requirement for delivery essentially is they need to be homebound?
They need to be homebound, not driving, and over 60.
Over 60 is not too hard to get to.
Basically the eligibility. So all ranges within that. So, the 60-year-old that has knee surgery and can't drive for 6 weeks would be eligible. We've got a 103-ish old lady that has been with us for about 8 years.
Wow.
So the full range of whatever comes in between. And often I'll tell the new volunteers you're not going to maybe necessarily see that disability or that inability to function. It might be something more of a mental capacity to not be able to put the meal in the oven or get it out of the oven or take it off the stove, and it's in a lot of cases it's a safety factor as well.
That's a lot of fantastic information, but let's take a quick break and thank our sponsors. Our sponsors make it possible for you to enjoy this podcast free of charge.
MBK Senior Communities is dedicated to being the preferred senior living provider in the markets they serve. They create warm, inviting living spaces in desirable locations. They offer a variety of services and programs to enrich the lives of residents and their families. And by getting to know their residents, their personal preferences, and their individual needs, MBK Senior Communities can better contribute to their well-being and provide care that's right for them. They are committed to enhancing independence and quality of life, serving others the way they prefer to be treated, and providing care that is delivered with integrity, dignity, and compassion. Currently serving the Western United States, but expanding. Why not contact your local community for a tour and see for yourself why most of their residents say they felt at home from their very first visit? You can get more information by visiting their website at mbkseniorliving.com or call 949-242-1400.
And often I'll tell the new volunteers you're not going to maybe necessarily see that disability or that inability to function. It might be something more of a mental capacity to not be able to put the meal in the oven or get it out of the oven or take it off the stove, and it's in a lot of cases it's a safety factor as well. In the oven or get it out of the oven or take it off the stove, and it's in a lot of cases it's a safety factor as well.
Yeah, I know with my mom, when she was at home, she puttered around in the kitchen a lot. And when the caregivers were there, she always wanted to help them cook, and she didn't. I remember one night we didn't have one in the evening because my aunt was staying with her. But this was an evening when I realized that my aunt has issues. And I was very afraid to leave my aunt and my mom there alone. So I stayed and made sure that they ate, because the caregiver had made the food and left it on the stove, just in the pan, and the stove wasn't on. But I certainly didn't want the two of them warming anything up. It's definitely my mother. So I warmed it up and served it to them and got them settled on the couch with some TV, and I found some sweet, because my family's got a ridiculously inherited sweet tooth, and meals aren't done until we've had a sweet. So I got that all situated for them, and my husband was on the phone getting the caregiver to show up. They were 7 to 3 and 3 to 11 and 11 to 7. So we were trying to get the 11 to 7 one to come in. And so I had a few hours of a little nerve-wracking, because I'd been there all afternoon and I wanted to go home and eat dinner. The caregiver didn't make enough for 3. So it was like, yikes. But they came, and the company we used had an app. So I knew when they were on their way. I knew when they got there. And,
Right.
I figured.
That's good.
And I guess one of them was still awake when they showed. I think my aunt was still awake. So, but yeah, it's like you would never have thought, because my aunt is 14 years younger than my mom, or 11 years younger than my mom. Wow. So she's only in her 60s, and we weren't really sure what was wrong with her. We thought maybe she was drunk. The caregiver had taken mom and my aunt out, and then her shift was over, and the other one came in, and it was like, something is very strange here with my aunt. And, we dug through her purse. She is an alcoholic. So we dug through her purse, and there was no, booze bottles in there. Sniffed the can of Pepsi that she was drinking, and it smelled like Pepsi. So I have learned later that she does have issues. It was kind of funny at my dad's funeral. My mom's brothers, who are in the middle of the 4 kids, the youngest brother was saying, well, I guess it's just the women in our family that have mental issues. And my other uncle, who is older, he went, huh? So it was a lighthearted moment.
Sense of humor in it.
Yeah, no, he actually wasn't. I don't know if he wasn't paying attention. I don't know what his issue was, but yeah, it was a funny moment on a day, that isn't too funny. But I just remember just being terrified that my aunt would go in the kitchen, or my mom would go in the kitchen and warm up the stuff that was left, or throw something in the microwave that shouldn't be in the microwave. And it was a tense evening until that caregiver got there. And so
we have some families that have disconnected the stove just for that reason, because they can't keep them away from it and it's not safe. So they just said it doesn't work anymore, and that seems to be how they function. Yeah.
That probably wouldn't have been too bad an idea.
Yeah.
My sister started making crock pot meals for my parents. They were frozen and it had instructions on it. They were for my dad. And I guess that's what they did, but he was not a great eater.
Right.
And so he didn't like sauces and onions and garlic, and he would have been very happy with a hamburger patty and corn or peas and mashed potatoes every night.
And nothing touching on the plate?
Probably not. I don't really like my food touching either. So
one thing with the seniors that we find, and a lot of times this is why families call, because they're not eating right. Because they lose their taste buds, and they just, nothing tastes. They lose their sense of smell, so they have no reason to eat. There's nothing there that makes them eat. And the diseases too can take away that sense of hunger or the sense of fullness too, where they eat and they will eat and then turn around and say, well, I haven't had lunch yet, and want lunch, just continually. So a lot of the fact that we come in with that hot meal that's already cooked, they do get that aroma usually, and with someone there with them, they're more inclined to actually eat, where if they had to get up off the couch to fix something, it wouldn't be it wouldn't be worth. They just wouldn't have
Yeah.
that energy or the interest to do it. Yeah.
I know sometimes I'm hungry and it's like, that's the only reason I get up and do, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
I can't sit here anymore doing whatever I'm doing because my stomach is growling so loudly it's becoming an issue. It's funny because you said, they lose their sense of taste, or
Right.
I know there's residents in my mom's memory community, I swear, they're almost as bad as my dogs, who anytime I go near the pantry think they're getting a treat. This one gal is always asking when dinner is. When is the next meal? And they have breakfast, and I'm assuming they have a snack in the morning because they have lunch, and then they have a snack, and then they have dinner, and they get dessert after lunch and dinner, and they have good food where my mom's at. I've had many meals with them, and even though I recently learned that there's no salt in them, I don't know what they're doing, but it could use a tiny bit of salt, but it's not like super bland. It's actually really good food.
We don't put any salt in our meals either. So they're really low in sodium, low in fat. But we do have a further restricted sodium one for people that really need it, that we have a doctor's prescription to actually put them on. So we can't just arbitrarily do that low salt thing because it can be a fine line with,
And you guys serve diabetic meals too, right?
We don't have a diabetic meal. We have a low sugar meal though.
Okay.
So diabetic's kind of a catch-all phrase but it's an individual diet. So we don't refer to it as that.
Right.
But the low sugar meal is what most of our diabetic folks are on. Yeah. So we have the 3 options. And they get a menu, so they know what's coming every day. They can call us and cancel if they don't like what we're serving. We just need to know the day before. So we have a lot of people that will call at the beginning of the month and cancel all the fish meals.
Yep, that would be me.
Or, or the beef or the pork. A lot of, religious things coming into that. So, and they can do that because we just, with the numbers that we have, we can't customize it.
Right.
So,
And no vegetarian?
it's just that we do not do a vegetarian diet fully, but we do have some vegetarian meals. So occasionally there'll be a vegetable lasagna or something of the sort.
But everybody gets it.
Everybody gets it. Yeah. Yeah.
Vegetable lasagna is good.
It's very good, that one. Yeah.
Well, we started getting meal delivery here at home for the 2 of us because, one, we were wasting a lot of food because I'd plan meals and we'd have leftovers and we'd eat leftovers, and then it's like something would change, meetings would come up, whatever, clients, and stuff would just go bad. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. There's only 2 of us. Throwing this kind of food away is just stupid. So we get Blue Apron, which I love. So I can just see how nice it would be to have. I mean, I have to cook it, but I don't mind that. But it's just knowing that it's like, there's the protein and the veggies and usually a starch, and they're really good meals. Right. So I could see why having, Meals on Wheels delivered. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. When you're, for whatever reason not able to cook like I do right now, I think.
How do they deliver it? They deliver it for a couple days at a time, or one day every day?
Once a week.
Once a week for the week.
And we get in a little brown paper bag is a thing that whatever the meal is. We had beef, salsa verde beef tonight, and there's a little paper bag that has little knickknacks in it. It's got the spices, like everything you need to make the meal except a knife and water, I think. Oh, and olive oil. The only things that are not in this shipment. So one of the challenges I always had with dinners is I'd plan an entree, and then halfway through making it, it'd be like, what are we doing for a vegetable? And so we'd have orange chicken and green beans because I hadn't planned, for something that went with the thing. So it's really nice to have, it's all laid out, it's portion controlled, which is good. And
do you get to pick what you want?
They have 12 meals a week, and I think you can pick 2 or 3, and we do 3. And I was just telling John tonight that I would really like to up it to 4, but I don't think 4 is an option because I don't think it would fit in their shipping boxes.
Bring up to all your listeners is Meals on Wheels can always use volunteered drivers.
Yes.
Always.
Our population is definitely aging, and I have learned, visiting my mom, and, I polish nails and do little manicures for about 3 or 4 of the ladies, and there's, I'm always helping doing something because I'm there and I can, and they're
Why
not
not?
particular about who they ask. And so I don't know, sometimes I've had people ask me how much I charge to do the manicures. I'm like, oh no, I just do this for my mom and her friends. And I did learn recently that the caregivers are not allowed to trim their nails because if you nick them, and
Right.
I think technically I shouldn't be trimming their nails either, but they turn a blind eye. And the only person I nicked once was Mom, so
Well, that's okay then.
yeah, I'm like, probably not going to get in trouble for that one. So, but I polished their nails and I've helped fix TV, inputs and whatever.
That's great.
So, and it's you get a lot out of it when you volunteer with seniors, especially ones who aren't cognitively impaired to the point that, like my
Right.
mom is.
Right.
It is really great. So,
Yeah.
if you're retired or, you got some time, definitely give it a
thought.
Yeah,
A
'cause-
couple-
Most of the guys do
couple
one
hours
day
a
a
day,
week.
one day a week.
Well, Steve Foster and Steve and Lou are both volunteers with our Rotary group out here in Brentwood.
and they drive one day a week.
Yeah, no, I think Lou does
Lou
a
gets
couple more. Maybe Steve does a
I
couple more
think,
too.
but
Yeah.
generally that's the commitment that we ask.
Record-
So.
ask.
Yeah, that's really not a lot at all.
No, it's 3 hours probably.
2.5 lunch. Yeah, it's a lunch break. We have a few drivers that do it on their lunch break from work.
Wow, that's
Some of
seriously
Some of the
dedicated.
companies actually
Yeah.
give them time to do it. That's the companies,
Right.
volunteering their people to go out and do it.
And we have companies that drive, like you said, that just have adopted a route, and Rotary clubs that will adopt. We'll do this Route 7 for every Wednesday, and they just rotate their people through, and different service groups that do that. Churches will do that for us. A lot of the adult day programs drive for us, so it kind of becomes a job for those adults that are disabled, and they get that responsibility and that experience, and we get the job done. So that's a win-win for us.
Yeah. So it's like I'm learning a lot about how getting the whole community connected to take care of each other is so important.
Right, and all, like you said, all generations too. The younger kids, our people love when somebody brings their grandkids in the summertime to see them, because they don't, like you would see at the Commons. They don't see young people.
Not very often. No,
They come at Christmas time and sing carols, and then the rest of the year they just don't see those young folks anymore.
maybe it was over the summer. Doesn't seem like it's been that long, but there was a family with probably a 2 and a 6-year-old. The little one was definitely 2 because I asked, and I don't remember how old his brother was, but probably not older than 8. And I'm surprised he didn't get smothered by all the little
Yeah,
babies.
that's right, all the little ladies.
Because the only reason I think that he wasn't was because he was 2 and he was very energetic, and there was a lot
They
of
probably
shrieking.
couldn't catch him.
Well, there's that, but there was a lot of shrieking, and it's usually fairly quiet where Mom lives. And when they had the 2-year-old over, there was definitely not quiet. So,
Right.
but my mom loved seeing him, and
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
and he liked seeing the dogs that live there. So it was
Sure.
it's definitely a good thing. And I know our when we got a preschool that has the senior social program, they do field trips to, care communities. So
That's
it's
great.
awesome. So I really appreciate you guys talking to me
Yeah,
tonight
of course.
and giving me all the information on Meals on Wheels. And I would try to convince my grandmother to sign up, but she's 100, so it's not going to change.
Maybe not changing her method.
No, I don't think she's going to change her
One
mind.
trick we use though, Jennifer, is if somebody's resistant, and like in your case where your aunt's providing the meal, we get them to turn it around and say, "This will really help me." So if your aunt is saying, "Can you do this for me?" then it won't be so much work for me. They're resistant because they don't want any help, but if they think they're helping that individual that's caring for them, then they sometimes are a little bit more open to it. Just a trick. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's worth a try.
Yeah, well, we got a big birthday party coming up pretty quick, so I will see if I can chat with my aunt about that. Although you said there is a waiting list, so
Well, yeah, there is, but there's also a priority. So we
Yeah.
look at people that live alone and what their support systems are and what their needs are, and they kind of go to the top of the list. So you never know. It changes every day. We will say we've got a wait list today, and tomorrow we might have spaces open. It just,
And you got she's at
variable.
Antioch, right?
yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
So awesome. Well, thank you
Great.
very much.
You're
This was
welcome.
very useful, and hopefully we'll get more drivers and we'll get more seniors who need the assistance, and And I'm assuming that this is similar nationwide.
It is very
We are
similar,
talking about our specific area.
No, it is actually it's an international program now.
Oh, international.
We had Meals on Wheels in Australia.
Yeah.
Like I said, they're all run a little bit differently, but generally the
basics are there.
same basics, yeah. And in the States, they're all funded by the Older American Act, so they're all for seniors. So anybody under 60 wouldn't be eligible, but we have alternate options for them we can refer them to. So, we're kind of a one-stop shop. We really are. We have a lot of services.
I do a good job.
A lot of
yeah.
referrals that we do to other programs. So.
Well, just doing this podcast, I have learned so many things about resources that are available. And that's, like I said, I'm trying to help people find out about them without having to just do hours of research. And I feel blessed because between being a Rotarian and being very connected to the community, I do have, I think, a little bit more resources than other people, but I'm just shocked at the stuff that I didn't know was available and,
Sure.
and learning things. And I do think it would be beneficial if somehow, like when my parents were referred to the senior services in our area and they didn't go, if, we got to somehow connect these people to these services easier. And I hope I can be a part of that. So
Right.
anyway, I appreciate it very much.
I thought I knew a lot about Meals on Wheels, but during this interview, I learned I didn't know as much as I had thought. It's my hope and desire that after listening to this episode, you too realize what a benefit Meals on Wheels can be for our seniors, our loved ones, and neighbors and friends. If you know somebody that could benefit from their services, please urge them to sign up. And if you don't need their services and have a few hours a week that you can spare, please consider becoming a volunteer. That way more seniors can get this vital help that so many of them need. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you again next week. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today or in previous episodes as well, please go to wherever you download your podcasts from and rate and review us. This allows others to find us and allows us to share the wisdom and support we've garnered over the years. Thanks again. See you next week. Thank you for joining me on today's episode of Fading Memories, a supportive podcast for those of us dealing with a loved one with memory loss.